Pleiadians, welcome to your March reading. This is going to be for 2018 or whenever you're watching this, even if it's not March for you. Those are my intentions and they always work. Pleiadians March. So the card deck I'm using this month is the Thoth deck. One of my faves. I think you have like a really hefty message coming up because they asked me to do a Celtic cross and I don't usually do such a complicated reading. Nice. Wow. Okay. I'm gonna just get into the ones that flipped out first. And I mean, you have your final outcome first, which is the Ace of Discs. This is the Ace of Pentacles, and this is a brand new ground, like really fresh, tangible ground, and a new environment that reflects the internal shifts that you've been experiencing. And, you know, this is part of this energetics is very relevant to me because a huge part of my heritage is Pleiadian. And I feel this coming, that when you've had a really profound series of internal shifts and your external environment has yet to reflect it, but it's gonna quantum shift for you just this month, and you're just gonna see it like really, really stable too. This is the Four of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. This is the Four of Discs, and this is power. And to me, this is like a very stable ground where usually Four of Pentacles could be hinting towards you not letting go, but sometimes Four of Pentacles can mean that you've been holding on to something, and you've been holding on to, in this energetics that I feel right now, you've been holding on to this very, very strong set value that you're not going to settle for anything less than the ideal, nothing less than like a hell yes. You're not going to settle, and you're not going to put in your energy. It's kind of like when you're looking for a partner, not looking, but when you're eventually hoping to meet a partner, a romantic partner, and every time somebody comes along that is okay, they're good, but they're not up to your ideal standards, you don't waste time seeing them. That's kind of what you've been doing with this energetic shift in the physical realm, and that they want you to just know that this is the month where it's gonna just click and crystallize into place. And you've been doing well, because there are so many temptations where people tend to settle for less. But when you realize your place as a co-creative consciousness being, then when you settle for something less, then you're kind of wasting your energy into this mediocre conditioning that we've been learning to live through. But nope, that's over. This reading is going to take a while for me because this Thoth deck is like super complex, and I just did a huge spread. Your center of the spread is Princess of Cups, which is super relevant to what I've just been talking about in terms of this crystallization, because Princess of Cups is actually a card that represents a crystallization. And it's the crystallization of water, which, you know, Pleiadians are very watery, and the sign of water is this fluid channel of anything that comes into contact with it. If you know about the water molecules, how it channels sound into it and how it can channel frequency into its crystallization, this is a part of you that has been, you know, kind of learning to navigate in this third density that it's no longer third density, but you've had to condition yourself through third density. And you had this nature of water, this element of water that was always fluid and not necessarily so dense. And you've learned to channel this ray of higher will into this crystallization on the physical realm because of your ability to, this is the card of ideal will. This is Dominion. This is the Two of Wands. And in the Thoth deck, it talks about the divine ideal will and your ability to channel this mastery over the senses into knowing what is for the highest good. And so it's interesting because I first started off with the Ace of Pentacles, with you holding on and your ability to maintain your kind of ideals. And this is about ideal will. And it's pretty much the same thing. It's just uncanny that it comes up twice. I mean, that just means that the message is amplified. So what they're telling you right now is good job on never settling for anything less, because now you've learned to crystallize with this fluid channel, which is the human. You are going to be finding yourself kind of perpetually creating with this newfound navigational skills of this fluid realm. And this is that creative power that you hold now over your reality. So, you know, things are never going to be the same again after this month, because you really learned how to crystallize things within fluctuating time of the fifth dimension. The time perceived from the fifth dimension, it's so much more different than how you perceived it in the past. And so now that you've learned to navigate through that and still have this will that is strong enough to crystallize the element of water and the element of fluidity, you're achieving this new reality of tangible success. It's success in terms of aligned to divine will. And as I said that, you have the success card, which is the Six of Pentacles. Success in the recent past. So you've been doing something really successfully, man. You've been doing things in the physical realm that maybe you're not so comfortable doing. Like, this is kind of like you've been living through these realities that make no sense to you, where you have to perpetually do things and navigate through this density that you're not even sure why it is like that, but you've been doing well to go through that and really maintain your core essence and your ideals. So because you've been doing that, this is what you're learning, is how to crystallize things in the physical dimension, where you still have the polaric range, but you don't fall towards the negative sub-octaves, because you know how to control your will in alignment to the more divine aspects of yourself. Success. Now, on the foundation, you have the Princess of Discs, which is the Princess of Pentacles. You have both the Princess of Cups and the Princess of Discs, but unlike the watery realm, Princess of Discs is the earthly part of the earth. This is the divine feminine aspect of you. And this is something that you've been harnessing, is to be able to be receptive to this incomprehensible mechanics of a quantum reality, because quantum realities are so ever fluctuating. And if you think about it, we are the quantum computing mechanisms that Google and NASA are so really trying to figure out with the D-Wave. Like, how does this computing system operate? And you know, they're gonna have an external manifestation of this machine soon, and it will add incomprehensible dimensions to our physical reality. But if you really tap into your consciousness, that's the real quantum mechanic computer. And with that comes this unpredictability, especially when it's this divine feminine paradigm where you magnetize things rather than go for this electric manifestation of things. And you're in this receptivity of the flow. What comes to you is very unknown. It's like the realm of the unconscious, the subconscious. And so really learning to trust that it is all emanating from one source, one infinite source, even though that's mentally really obvious that we all come from the one source, but experientially that's hard to really process. How are we all one? Like, this feels so segregated. But in your work of establishing trust and receptivity to this like endless quantum shifting of probabilities, and really sensing into it and being able to crystallize out of this quantum field, is what is going to give birth to whatever is coming next, which at the final outcome is the Ace of Pentacles. But let me flip the other cards. I haven't gone there yet. I like flipping it as I go. I always say how all the different star systems, even though they're various inception points and various different dimensions even, we all have these underlying energies that we go through that are so similar month to month, because we're all under the same influence of the solar change and this collective change. So I do see this card, this Hermit card, pop up so much. And this is about taking stock of all that you learned in the third density. This is a freaking marker that it's over. Like, I know when we had these eclipses and the new year and stuff, we've been informed, like, we are in the new dimension. Like, we're in fifth dimension. There's no more a third dimensional way of living unless you fall into that perception again. But actually, physically, we're in a fifth dimension. And I'm sure a lot of you really notice that. First of all, if there's like way too many synchronicities to even start counting, when you see that time is stretchable with your consciousness, space, just the way you view life is completely different. Your sense of self is completely different. And it's not even that you view the other person as yourself, but you don't have even the space between you and the other person is yourself. So it's really different when you look at unity from a subjective perspective than you imagine it to be in the third density. But in any case, you're taking stock. It's very important for you in this month to take stock of everything that you've learned in the third density. And I've mentioned this in this other video for Sirians, and I'm sure if you're Pleiadian, you definitely have some sort of link to Sirians as well. So I would recommend you watch that one too, but if you're not going to watch it, I'm going to quickly summarize. Like, the things you learn in the third density, that things you've learned so far, even if you were a ninth dimensional being for like eons of time, this lesson that you learned in the somewhat years that you've lived as a human being is so valuable, like so valuable, and something that you have never learned in other dimensions. So take stock of it, because you're about to get so quantum and quickly shift so hard out of this dimension and start experiencing so much change in your life that it's best to just reflect now. I'm telling you, after March, like, you're going to be going through so many changes that you're not gonna, like, this is a point where you look back, what did I learn in third density, and what did I learn in third dimension? Do it now. Do it today, or do it next week, whatever, whenever you have time. But it's right now, you gotta take stock of it and really cherish those and be grateful for what you've done for yourself by incarnating into this density. So the Two of Swords, there's a various layer of meanings into the Two of Swords in this Thoth deck, but one of it is with the mother, okay? This blue rose with this matriarchal energy, and Two of Swords being a card that talks about a shakeup from a fundamental mental realm into this new environment. So this talks to me about actually breaking away from belief systems that you inherited specifically from your mother or any maternal figures. And this could even be the mother as in the planet Earth and what you've been conditioned to believe on planet Earth. It's a time of shaking away from that. And actually, this is a crowning position. So it's not a definite thing. It's like a probable outcome, so to speak, a probable timeline that you're going into a trajectory of. But one thing that I'm very strongly getting an impression of is that you need to be less concerned with these empathic feelings that you might be having with other people as you proceed into this next reality, because I think that a part of you is very much careful of how other people feel about your change. Yes, it's a shakeup to them, but you really need to step above the kind of human perspective of how you're affecting other people and how your change might be to them and how shocking it's going to be to them. But you got to really trust that they have their own higher selves and they're on a really, really magnificent journey themselves. And this change of yours is actually for their highest good as well. Otherwise, this outcome wouldn't be there. Even if this means that you're going to be having more space away from them or that you're physically moving away from them, you need to realize, like, the level of guilt that you feel for them for not fulfilling the third dimensional kind of support, maybe, or whatever else you feel guilty about, or being so empathetic towards how they feel when they feel shitty. It's none of your problem how they feel. It's possibly part of your life's blueprint has to do with helping people transmute their emotions. That just means you take in their emotions and you transmute it, but that's all there is to it. You really need to give them room to grow by thinking they can thrive in this situation without my help, because if you don't think that about them, then you're also going to co-create that reality where they're not up to that standard. So you need to start raising up your expectations of the people closest to you, especially when it comes to your family, because you thinking that they're incapable is going to create that timeline and add to it. Even if they can navigate or through that, you could make it a lot easier for them by expecting higher standards of them, of how they cope with situations or how they cope with their own emotions. Wow. Can I just say, like, on the row of the self, the environment, and your hopes and wishes, you have major arcanas all throughout. So, first of all, as we were talking about the Divine Feminine, you have the Empress as your self card. This is your self, your personal reality right now. And it's the Empress, and it's the card of abundance, prosperity, and confidence. Self-confidence and self-love and self-worthiness is a theme that keeps popping up through all of these readings, and I think it's a global energy that we're going through. So it's something that we're forced to kind of deal with. Is if you ever had any lack of confidence or self-love, this month will not let you exist without cultivating it. Obviously, you're not going to cease to exist. So this month is where you're going to face this of overflowing your chamber of self-love and self-confidence. Yeah. And this is going to really manifest on many different levels as, you know, obliterating all obstacles, because most of it comes from lack of self-love or lack of worthiness, which all stems back to self-compassion and self-love. So one thing that I would recommend for you to do, if you don't already do it, is do EFT around self-love. And that's one of the easiest ways to clear any emotional blockages and really focus on the emotions you feel while you do it. You can just repeat it, that's fine. But if you actually focus on your emotions while the affirmations are being said, that's way more effective. Now, in your environment is the Moon card. And, you know, the Moon is so feminine, and the Moon is so watery, and the Moon is so magnetic, which is so perfect for how you're going through all of these crystallization of the water, the crystallization of the quantum field, this Empress. And this on the Moon card is coming as your environment. So I think this Moon cycle of March, whenever there's a moon cycle like the new moon and the full moon, really work with those energies. Why is it so dark? I think it's a good month for you to really, if you do any sort of rituals around the moon, really work with the moon energy, because it's going to be so magnified this month just from your overall energetics of other cosmic forces. Really aligns with this watery feminine energy of the moon, and working with your emotions. So working with the EFT and whatever you want to do. You can go get acupuncture if you're not comfortable with energy doing on your own. Yeah, and now your hopes and fears, you have the Fool card, which means you hope to be having this brand new fresh start to this new mission. So this mission is maybe something that you've had for a while, but it's a new definition of the mission, an expanded perspective of how it unfolds in your life. And so this is what you're hoping to achieve, and of course it's going to manifest, because the final outcome, as I said before, is the Ace of Pentacles. This is a new actual environment, like a tangible freaking interface that you're entering into. And this is fucking huge. Okay, that was a really helpful reading. I'm going to pull a couple of oracle cards and then let you go. Get on with your freaking mission. The Pleiadians, they want me to be really thorough with your reading this month, because first of all, I didn't post one for February, which I explained, like, I think it was a month of maybe not knowing exactly what's happening, but I don't know. This month is huge for you. A lot of you. Aww. That's so cute. Okay. Wow. Okay, first of all, your main message right now as you're watching this is to do a little celebration. However this celebration manifests, like let's say you imagine like something unfolding, the most miraculous event unfolding in your life. How would you celebrate that? Think about that and do that, because that's the message, overall message from this fifth dimensional animal realm. And you need to understand that this positive outcome is really, really guaranteed for this month. And if you take this with some sort of emotional franticness of holy whatever, like if there's any sort of franticness or doubt there, I don't know if like if this resonates with you, you'll know, like you're calm about it and you already know what's happening, but this is just another layer of confirmation. Yeah. Another layer of synchronicity. And what's happening here is you get the beloved card. And this is so relevant to the self-love that I was talking about, the self-compassion. And this is talking about you merging your blueprint with the exact same point, the synchronicity of this crystallization that you were supposed to meet at this time. Like it's that lock point. And yeah, this is going to manifest as like a romantic partner or the ideal career or the most ideal situation. It's just going to manifest in various different ways, but just prepare for this. Prepare for your life partner, whether the life partner is romantic or it's career oriented, business oriented, but you need to just understand this is happening. So emotionally prepare yourself for this shift and know that you are lovable. Like you are lovable and you are enough for this change, and that's why it's happening. But you've got two cards in a row that hints to you that it's assured that you're going to have this massive shift in ripples. So just give yourself that extra love today, or however you're celebrating, however you would like to celebrate with the people you would like to celebrate with. Now, the next cards you have is First Delight, which is count your blessings and always expect the best. So I know a lot of starseeds have kind of trauma around their emotions, because whenever they try to manifest something, maybe before it didn't work out and they get disappointed, so they try to not have their hopes up for everything. But it's different when you're in the fifth dimension, which you are now, because your will is aligned to the divine will. It's no longer operating as personal self. Like whatever you have been doing until now has aligned you to the collective consciousness. And so whatever you desire is now actually in line with divine will. And you will know the difference when it's divinely aligned or if it's personally aligned, because it feels absolutely different. Like one feels like faith and unconditional kind of love with no attachments, and the other has like a bunch of attachments. So, you know, don't be afraid to kind of feel the joy in imagining something happening. And also another thing that I want to mention is don't think that when you have these imagination exercises with what you want to manifest, take that as a gift of frequency that you can amplify rather than attaching it to that specific manifestation. So understand that the symbols of the visualization is a tool for you to magnify this frequency, and just be content with that tool rather than thinking it has to manifest in that way, because whatever you manifest from that frequency and amplifying that frequency is going to be way better than like your linear imagination. One last card that I'm going to get is the Mermaid card. Okay, so this spread, the first message that I want to point out is the faith card. You need to have faith that the best outcome is always unfolding, even if you worry about how little processes are being manifested. Like let's say you have this overall goal and then there's a bunch of little things that you think needs to manifest in a certain way to achieve that. You need to let go of all of those little processes that you're outlining in your logical brain, because all you need is the faith for the priority, and everything else will take care of itself. You don't need to worry about, let's say you're getting your dream job and then you have this worry about, oh, the interview or the coworkers and the pay. Like you have these little worries. Just focus on the frequency of the main priority rather than like wasting your time dissipating your energy with the different things that would make it the ideal thing. That's not how you manifest in fifth dimension. You just manifest in a like a holographic sphere rather than a linear tangible steps. Now, a big card that you got is music for manifesting, and this I have to just tell you, like, I know you probably work with sound healing. If you're Pleiadian, you probably know the power of sound, but it's very amplified this month to work with sound healing and frequencies, solfeggio frequencies, whatever, subliminals, whatever, like whatever you're drawn to experience, or singing bowls, or even partaking in any kind of sound healing physically, to visit a sound healer physically. It's going to really, 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 really be helpful, because when you get more and more evolved and more higher frequency, things like sound is a huge, like, you know how you have that card of Princess of Cups, talks about how how you crystallize in this fluid interface that you have. You're this fluid interface. And so when you're like that, like water, like the molecules of the water that just takes on the sound frequency, that's exactly you. So the more you kind of put yourself out there with positive sound baths, and you can have tons of different sound healing videos on YouTube, which I'm so grateful for. It's going to really help you through this process. So I would say focus on any music that's created with the intention of magnifying faith and self-love for you this month. Thank you so much, Pleiadians, for tuning in. I love you guys to the Pleiades and back. Bye.